Coming up in this video, we have my VHS Nostalgia Night Terror Tapes for Halloween. I'll be highlighting 5 VHS tapes I'll be watching this October and why I'll be watching them on tape. I'm Harvey Retro and this is Enigmatic Retro Rewind. Okay, let's not mess around and kick things off with everyone's favourite creepy old preacher ghost, Kane. This guy gave me so many nightmares as a kid, and that was just from catching bits of it when it was on TV. I didn't even see the movie in full until I was older. Julian Beck's performance is the best thing about Poltergeist in general. It's why this sequel is my favourite in the series, and let's face it, other than Caroline saying, "They're here," this dude is what you think about when someone mentions the Poltergeist movies. When I was a child in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of focus on stranger danger via public information films, and this movie is like the scariest version of that. This is a guy that pretended to be a man of God to lure his followers to a cave to avoid the apocalypse, only to kill them all. This guy sees your "wanna see some puppies" attempt and says, "Hold my beer." So that's why you have to watch this one on VHS if you grew up in that era. All those public safety films were recorded on tape, and the only way to get the definitive stranger danger creepy experience is on VHS, baby. When I was younger, every kid loved slime, gunge, goo, or whatever you want to call it. You could buy buckets of the stuff, and it was everywhere in cartoons, movies, and toys. So what could be more frightening than evil goo? And that's why I had to include the 1988 version of The Blob. It was the perfect timing. Kids really love goo right now, huh? Let's ruin it for them. This was another movie that I was aware of but didn't see until I was older, and I'm kind of glad of that now. In the same way Jaws stopped people going in the water, I would have hated something to get in the way of me and my ectoplasm. This film was directed by Chuck Russell, better known for the guy that made Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, arguably the best of the series. And his version of The Blob does the same thing as Dream Warriors. It takes an existing concept and pushes it further, making it come to life with state-of-the-art special effects. The effects are brilliant in The Blob, but like most practical effects movies, sometimes a little fuzz around the edges just makes everything a little better. That's why I'm recommending watching it on VHS. During the 80s and 90s, people had a thing for little monsters. Gremlins, ghoulies, goblins, boglins. But the ones that really got me were the ones that were a perfect blend of cute and deadly. That's where Critters come in. Now I know what you're thinking, this is a comedy movie, you can't possibly be putting it on a Terror Tapes list. But yep, I'm doing it. Whenever I saw this cover in the video shop back in the day, it scared me, and even made me a little creeped out by this He-Man figure I had. Imagine leaving this guy out the toy box and having him staring at you in bed just after seeing the Critters cover earlier. Now that is terrifying. Critters is a great choice for me because I have the memories of these guys giving me the willies as a kid, but as an adult I can simply enjoy a hilarious comedy with a big bowl of popcorn. It's definitely not the best movie ever made, but there's definitely a charm to it. I think the standout moments are when the Critters have dialogue and it's subtitled. When they move quickly like Sonic the Hedgehog in a ball, and when the actors ham it up with overacting.
This phone is dead.
What?
Over the years there have been many attempts at the meta horror film, but none of them quite pull it off like the original Scream from 1996. I was too young to see it in the cinema on release, so all my vivid memories of the movie are in VHS form, so that's why it's going on this list. There's just something amazing about watching Scream on tape. Could it be that the aesthetic suits all the reference material this film includes? I would say so. It almost seems like it was shot for this format. Whenever I've watched the movie in a higher quality format, it always seems a bit too bright, overlit, and kind of puts me off. On VHS, the film looks very similar to Halloween from 1978. I just think it works perfectly, especially when you get to the scene at the party when they're actually watching Halloween. The film really shook me up when I first saw it. I think it was mainly the brutality of the opening scene. I was 14 at the time and hadn't really seen that kind of bloody violence in the film before. I'd seen some gory scenes in things like Aliens and Nightmare on Elm Street, but they were quite far removed from reality in my mind, so I could deal with it better. In Scream, there wasn't anything fantasy about it. It was a regular person, something that could actually happen, and that was scary. Okay, believe it or not, Ghostbusters and Part 2 are going on this list because there were aspects of both movies that really scared me as a kid. And another thing that's actually scary is that I'm going to be watching both on this VHS double feature, which is both films crammed onto one tape. This was a common thing that never bothered anyone at the time, and I was super curious about what kind of quality drop we're going to see here. So what was it about Ghostbusters that was scary, I hear you ask? Well, in the first film it was definitely the librarian ghost for me. The build up to the jump scare in that scene was actually really effective and something that I wasn't ready for in my early years. I first saw it on video rental, which was probably about 1985, so I was only 3 years old. It might explain why I've gone through my life a bit freaked out by those kind of maze-like libraries which were common back then. In the second film, which I still really love by the way, don't get me started on all the hate for that film that's emerged, I was really frightened by Vigo. I mean, who wouldn't be creeped out by this guy? What's interesting is that it's the painting that's scary. When he ends up coming to life, that's somehow not as scary. Remember when you saw old paintings and old photos as a child, and you had that fear that they were following your every move and could come to life at any moment? This is definitely playing on that. Can you remember an example of this in your life? Leave a comment below. Mine was actually a black and white photo of my great grandmother that was in my nan's house. I'm sure she was lovely in real life, but in that photo, serious haunted mansion vibes. Actually, come to think of it, there was another moment that really scared me. The scene where Peter McNichol's character appears in ghost form, dressed as some kind of creepy nanny, and attempts to kidnap Sigourney Weaver's baby. It's kind of weird because he's not dead or a ghost, but doesn't stop it from being scary. Those eyes and that stretchy arm gives me shivers even now. So there we have it, there's my list of 5 tapes I'll be watching this October. What nostalgic favourites will you be watching during the spooky season? And will you be watching them on VHS too? Let me know in the comments. Right then, that's all for now. I hope you have a great Halloween. I'm Harvey Retro, and I'll see you in the future, talking about the past. Fancy supporting Retro Rewind in the best possible way? Head over to buymeacoffee.com/Harvey Retro and choose from 2 options to unlock exclusive full movie and album commentary videos by yours truly and guests. Select membership and join Harvey's AV Club for £3 a month. Trivia, anecdotes, and even drinking games will be on the cards with these special commentary episodes. Or, if you'd rather, just say thank you without joining the club, select support and buy us a VHS tape, which is a single £5 contribution, and don't forget to tell us which classic you're adding to our library, as it might inspire me to review that movie in future. And that's it.